What is technical communication? Like the air we breathe, it's hard to see because it's all around us. It's also a fairly recent phenomena, emerging only at the end of the Industrial Revolution, around the time of the birth of the modern corporate structure. Of course, in ancient Persia, Greece, and Rome there was technical communication, but these earlier forms were a rarity. There was also a flowering of practical books in the Renaissance on topics such as farming, surveying, navigation, and accounting that has been written about by Elizabeth Tabot. But what I'm talking about is technical communication as a widespread method of human interaction. With the advent of the PC, it's reached into our homes, and now most of us use it every day. So what is technical communication? This lecture will present a series of examples. I'll start with a simple one. This is a manual for a Singer sewing machine. This is probably the first technical communication I ever used. It's difficult to sew, and it requires instructions. I learned both at home and in school how to use the patterns and follow the instructions, which consisted of both writing and drawing. Even today, when I use the sewing machine, I need to open the manual to this page and look at the instructions because I can never remember which way the bobbin should be inserted into the machine. The medical industry has to use a great deal of technical communication, all of which must be exact. Since the text describing medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and medical procedures must be so exact, they often use a content management system, sorting text in discrete chunks in a database to pull out the same definition every time. Financial institutions also have very exacting standards in their communication practices. Advertisements can also be technical communication. There is a subset of technical communication called technical marketing. One of my friends does that at Intel Dialogic. They keep changing their name. And, of course, any medication must show ingredients and standardized information, which is also a form of technical communication. Another very simple example is recipes. Again, here they use both words and pictures to display their information to make it as easy as possible. Unfortunately, this is not always true. It can be a challenge to find the directions on some TV dinners. Textbooks can be technical communication. By now, perhaps you're starting to guess my definition. If it's technical and it's communication, it's technical communication. Other academics have devised more specific definitions, but for the purposes of this class, this definition can be a rule of thumb. Increasingly, technical communication resides within the machinery we use. The machine talks to us in words and pictures to tell us what it's doing or what's wrong. This is my computer printer console, not an expensive machine, but very sophisticated. Now I'm going to use an example that isn't purely technical communication. It's somewhat technical, putting puzzle pieces together to create an object, but it's on the edge of the definition. I'm using it because it's a useful example of how complex conveying information can be. This is the first page of instructions for a three-dimensional puzzle. Actually, it's the only page of written instructions, and it only gives you several hints as to how to proceed at the bottom. Different shapes have different functions in 3D puzzles. The entire set of instructions, almost too large to photograph, looks like this. In the reality of putting the puzzle together, I quickly abandoned these instructions. They didn't help to put the pieces together. They were only good for the final assembly. What was most necessary to putting the pieces together was the box that the puzzle came in. I had to keep the box handy and refer to it as visual communication. These are the inside cover flaps, one of which shows the roof, which gave me many hints as to the structures beneath. Another essential picture that I had to keep turning to was on the side of the box. It showed the puzzle from the back. Without this picture, I would have been lost. So, in reality, although there were instructions supplied, they were not where we would expect them. They were not on the printed instructions. They were on the box. This is similar to much technical communication because sometimes it's essential and clear and sometimes it's not. How useful it is changes over time, and different people use it differently. Like in the book The Myth of the Paperless Office by Sellon and Harper, technical communication can be hot, of immediate value, warm, soon or recently used, or cold, put into deep storage. We all use information like this on a daily basis, filing it in folders or in piles in our offices and homes, according to its use. Now I will get to some more ordinary forms of technical communication. This is a book that was discarded from the NJIT library because it's out of date. It's a summary of steam power from the past to the present, published in 1965. The publisher is Babcock & Wilcox, a major boiler manufacturer. This is the type of promotional literature that gives both the company exposure and acts as a reference for others. Like the other forms of technical communication I've been describing, it uses both words and pictures to convey meaning. A common and easily identifiable type of technical communication is the trade or professional journal. Most engineering professions, as well as others, publish papers or proceedings of the current state of knowledge in journals, newspapers, and books. If you become a member of a group, you'll find that these publications become part of your life. Most of the writing in them is technical communication, and most articles, like this one, contain images and graphics as well as words. In this example, images and graphics are mixed together with words to provide the most amount of information in the smallest amount of space. This is a comparison of the sizes and shapes of planes from different countries, using gray to outline the shape as seen from the ground, and flags to point out features specific to a country. This is a brochure, a folded piece of paper like a map, that contains technical information. In this case, it's graphic pictures for communicating about IEDs, improvised explosive devices, that allows the holder to point to pictures. It provides graphics to overcome language barriers. Technical communication consists of words and images, and the images are as important as the words. In conclusion, I'll repeat my working definition of technical communication. If it's technical and it's communication, it's technical communication. Increasingly, in our complex, information-driven world, we need to analyze reams of it, so we may as well start now.